Welcome everyone to some more live work here. As you see, always so many stuff to do. If you're not working on the P3 or SGI Octane or stuff, then we have this Rust stuff to clean up and work on. And as I said the other day, this will of course not become here in each and every day. What was the term? Ranting about Rust. But here just some other notes, so I'm not making this stuff up. I have here new findings and new improvements because each and every day we need to make our T2 Linux better, obviously. And so the first thing is someone here, Andreas Baumann, commented, not sure if he is a Debian or something like this. Actually more and more Rust stuff, or was it Arch? Anyway, gets into Linux, LabRSVG, rewrite, core utils, remix. So if Rust people don't fix their bootstrapping, release cycle and standardization, Linux userland will be a much worse state than before. I recently forgot to update Rust, hitting an LLVM 7, broken link dependency and the type num, bug in stage 2 of the compiler because everything happens in x.py. There's no easy way to patch those bugs for IA32. It was seriously considering rewriting librsvg in C++ just to go back to sanity and dependency cycle of packages. Yeah, so much to I'm the only one making this stuff up here. And also when you look into Linux from scratch here or beyond Linux from scratch, Rust 132, similar what we have built, we will go in there in a second and show you that they have similar findings as ourselves. So just want to document this here as proof that where's even my that I'm not making the stuff up. What is this here even? Is that terminal? Whatever. And yeah, can't have enough terminals. And welcome Danny. So what I have done last night, maybe when did I start this? All right, I started. Yeah, so much to dedication and doing here nothing. What the Debian people always tell me, we basically do nothing here. No, we only sit here a week tinkering with this Rust and cargo stuff. So because I just on the other live stream, if for the recurring viewers like Danny and such, remember that I only realized that Rust is compiling its own LLVM. I somehow overlooked this previously because I don't always look into each log file, and I now changed Rust to use the system LLVM, yeah, LLVM -- LLVM config. Just need to check, do we have this on? Yeah, we have this on screen. So of course, why? To save build time and also to not only build time but also installation size. Although Rust people may not care about this because for them probably half a gigabyte is worth nothing. They can just clobber the file system with gazillions of half a gigabyte or more accumulating build artifacts. But so the build time of this, let's by the way check this build here for hours, even with all 8 threads of our aging Core i7 here. ADM packages, rustc. So you see I'm not just hating this, and by the way this is how often I have compiled rustc here on just this portable SSD installation. There's so much to no dedication and no nothing. And this build here over an hour, and even though this was, there you see ridiculous compile times, right? So if I go out buy, and well, we have an AMD Ryzen here, but buy more modern, like announced today, AMD Ryzen 3000, of course this build time might be cut in half, but it's still compiling 30 minutes, which is amazing. Job well done there. But and why does it take so long? What is here even? You see the previous build. This certainly failed here, was similar long. Why is this not shorter? Because you have seen in the previous videos that my cargo didn't work. It errored out there with something feature rename dependencies whatsoever. And by the way, so why it is an error? This Rust is ready to roll here and successfully. It's also totally misleading here, completed successfully in, I don't know, 13 seconds, but that is only the final linking. Always they have this funny timestamps here and then they are misleading. Thank you very much, as if compiling Rust would have only consumed 13 seconds. That would be amazing though. Why did this error out? Only because of T2 sanity checks of found shared files with cargo, because you might not have expected, but actually because everything is a mess, so why not mess it up even more? You can actually compile cargo within Rust. with enable extended, I think, which I will now comment out again because I wanted to have a working cargo. You've seen in the previous videos I couldn't recompile cargo by itself because at the rename dependency from hell nonsense there, no idea where this is coming from. Although cargo was capable of compiling Firefox, but not itself, whatever is going on there. So this is why I now caused a shared file conflict here and reinstalling, rebuilding cargo within, bootstrapping it within rustc. And also there is enable local rust. This I can probably test live. Theoretically, this could theoretically maybe allow bootstrapping without downloading the Rust binary with the Rust compiler binary thing we have already in our system. And here, here's the final, the famous xpy amazing build script. But so yeah, lessons learned. You can add to your system LLVM config, which by the way, seriously, you don't want a static library or whatsoever of each and every flavor on your system. So I wonder why those kind of prominent, more famous packages don't do default, like sane defaults using this system LLVM. Nowadays, somehow everything you need to pass in there to get some sanity back in your configuration. And then also because LLVM usually doesn't install some file check, so this would fail, or this failed for me. I had to Google around there and I had to discover disable codegen tests that you can disable if you don't have file check, which is a program of LLVM that usually isn't installed. So amazing stuff there. And also again, right, why can this stuff not just work? Why does it need to be set up in a way that it does not work in what I would consider the more sane configuration? But yeah, you waste an hour there and then you rebuild and then it doesn't. Also, I think some of this, as you see, we'll probably see, so what have we done? We commented out. The problem is also it doesn't fail quickly. For example, this cargo, if you use a local Rust there, then I've shown this already. First, it builds here all those micro dependencies, and then it might just take, or it takes already 15 minutes here on the aging Core i7 from yesteryear. So then only after 10 minutes or 15, then only when it eventually configures, then you get an error, probably somewhere build stage something here or something. So you see, because of this bootstrapping and double, and you can even, I think, enable triple bootstrapping for the edit sanity or whatever, reproducibility. And yeah, building everything twice for 1 hour because amazing. And so what we could do now is two things. First of all, we can see if we, first of all, I need to manually delete ADM FLS. This is why in T2 I find it quite handy that everything is plain ASCII plain text. So we can just go to rustc and edit cargo here out of completion. Wow, it even installs bash completion for cargo. Amazing stuff that I don't want. Bin cargo. Yeah, here, cargo, wait a second, why are here multiple of those? Anyway, Clippy format, whatever. Anyway, yeah, to get this out of there. And then we could theoretically test now if cargo is now sane enough or non-broken enough to install itself. And also, another note, you would think this all sounds so easy. Yeah, it sounds so easy if you see the final configuration. If you sit here and wonder why it doesn't build, you Google some configuration, hell --LLVM config, pass it in there, breaks, file check, then you, what the heck is file check? Never seen this, and so on. Google around, you can't disable it, and then still doesn't build, and so on, and then already 1 hour is gone because somehow, probably in this day and age, everyone needs to keep each of us busy testing, compiling, and somehow, I don't know, outsource regression testing and configuration. So we can do two things. We can test if cargo builds now. For this, of course, we can't set up our hardware encoder here because it's an yesterday's Intel Core i7, so this will overheat and thermal throttle, and GPU will take all the CPU cycles, so parallel only. Although this will, by the way, also not amazing, this cargo will use parallel thread mux itself. So I probably need to export there some cargo options, parallel config, something hard-coded or a T2 configured, because it's also annoying that T2 has an option and then cargo is doing its thing. So I need to wire there some support to set the maximum parallel level there for cargo. And yeah, so the reason that rustc compiled so long is just that for cargo, it built there all the 100, 200 micro dependencies, and it took 1 hour, especially as it built everything twice. So finally, it will be interesting to see if we will have some better result now with not this extended configuration with cargo. But let's take a final look here on the Linux from scratch, that you see that we don't make this up and other people also have the challenges. And let's see, because here were some slow package to build, such because it's such a large and slow package to build. Yeah, it sounds amazing, right? And it's at the moment only required for 5 packages in this book, like the latest version of Firefox to build. As this other programming needs a binary form for, well, this is by the way not true. It needs a binary form which to bootstrap, which in the case of GCC you could always compile GCC with a reasonable C compiler. And yeah, whatever. I think they normalize this here a little bit more than necessary. The crates will remain in various forms: cache directories, extracted source in ~.cargo, which again you want all the file system cluttered and space consumed with all the build artifacts and sources. And use the download required, blah blah blah, all book for something. So then here is, although BLF, which is beyond Linux from scratch, usually installs in /user, when you later upgrade to a new version of Rust, and the old libraries in rustlib will remain with various hashes in their names. Well, sounds amazing, right? Everything cluttered with tons of various hashed file names there. The editors recommend placing these files in the opt directory, so there you see Rust is even a so special snowflake for them, with all the pollution of rustlib files there, and having them all double and triple with all the hashes of the versions and such, and everything just accumulates there like a landfill there. And even they install to opt, and then even they recommend here something that even I don't do, which is to be able to delete this with all the half a gigabyte of build artifacts, which, but again, if you install libjpeg and the Linux kernel, you also don't want to keep your build artifacts in user source wherever, right? So yeah, and so they recommend even to install to opt rustc version name, so to reverse here the situation in regards of reasons to rebuild with a modified configuration, e.g. using a shipped LLVM after building with shared LLVM, but perhaps also in the reverse situation it's possible to install. Yeah, it is possible for the install to leave a broken cargo program. Broken somehow sounds familiar, right? Broken cargo, because amazing stuff. The best build system money can not buy. And then, yeah, Rusty defaults to building all support architecture using a shipped copy of LLVM, and but in BLFS they build only for x86, which, by the way, it's also a little bit waste of time. Few people build there for MIPS and Spark. You also don't configure your GCC to compile for all architectures, a little bit wasteful. Usually, and then unlike previous versions, the build time of this, the build time of this version was repeated on the same machine with reasonable consistency. So yeah, there you see, even they write, previously the build time was like sometimes slower, sometimes enormously, totally varying, because amazing reproducible build system. And usually a dear style method is used to install this package. This is because running the install as root not only downloads all of the cargo files again. Did I already mention this, that this is annoying? Also they find it annoying. And to root.cargo, right, because it's amazing. They then spend a very long time recompiling here. Did I mention this? Very long time recompiling 200 micro dependencies. Using this method saves a lot of time at the cost of extra disk space here. Amazing stuff. And yeah, installation, there you see, by the way, they even write here this config toml. I don't do this. I'm not really sure why they do this. I guess usually the configure is doing this. Slightly wonder why I wish sometimes they would do this. Here they write create a suitable config toml. By the way, this is what we have in 2019. People who want to build the state-of-the-art programming language need to manually create a config.toml, because that probably is amazing. Unlike previous versions, where even quite old system versions of LLVM worked, well, this version shipped with a development version, and using the current LLVM 701 release is known to result in breaking in some circumstances. So this is using the system LLVM, also shared with Mesa and what else do we have for Mesa and Sealing, and was there something else? Stuff like this. And again, in my opinion, preferable to build LLVM once and use it for everything, but then you see they sometimes, apparently according to this, Rust ships a custom development snapshot, and then you can't use the system version because they have their special snowflake glue in there that otherwise results, I think it was here, results in I think I saw something about internal compiler errors or miscompilation or whatever. And yeah, then again, I don't really build it like this. I wish they would write here more closely why they do this, because even this nonsense I don't do. But well, maybe this fixes something that I haven't even found. And yeah, on this kind of level we are in 2019. That, yeah, and by the way, I'm not making this up. Certainly one of the more complex descriptions in Linux from scratch to configure Rust here. And yeah, also I think they have here, probably here is what I found here in regards to this build extended. Ah, yeah, right. So my is of course differently. They have extended true install cargo as well as Rust. This is maybe where I noticed this, but of course I do this slightly differently in just the regular configure stuff here. No idea why they don't use this. It doesn't look like the most amazing stuff, but again, I only did this to correct my cargo here, so now this cargo maybe work. To also install build cargo. But then next thing I wanted to show you, so this is not all, and I promise this will be most like the last video to cargo and Rust for this year, I hope. And then we continue with more amazing stuff, because now I have a cargo that builds. You see this build here, this cargo, and again here a handful of, how many, I'm really curious actually, grab compiling of this. Let's see, word count, yeah, 115, so not making this up, plus a little, so 110 micro dependencies or so, minus here a line of compiling cargo, and yeah, 114 maybe micro dependencies, just that you really see I counted this here professionally, and it's really like this amazing dependencies like yeah, env logger, size chunk, bytes, clap quote, tar, socket, you name it, backtrace, glob, fn, whatsoever, something, of course libc, and also, yeah, again, yeah, of course it needs to build a new version of libc. And I also wonder if maybe Rust is never using, or Rust and Cargo are never using system precompiled libraries, and they always compile this and links statically. And again, in my opinion, we have shared libraries to share this code and not statically link it into everything. And also, if we recompile a library with a fix in HTTP handling to have all the programs and libraries use the shared library as shared objects. This is what shared objects were invented for, but apparently not in the Rust world. So yeah, even with this, it doesn't install, so not sure what you would think after spending an hour recompiling Rust the extended way with cargo, it would finally work. Well, it works now, it doesn't complain anymore about this stupid rename stuff, but now it builds, finishes release, again, optimized, also, yeah, release optimized targets in 6 minutes, which again is misleading. I wish it would have been 6 minutes, but I think the whole total thing for all the micro dependencies was probably more something 20 minutes or whatever. Anyway, it doesn't install. Error using cargo install. To install the binaries for this package in current working directory is no longer supported. Use cargo install path.install. Instead use cargo build if you supply the build package. I mean, seriously, what the heck now? You think you're finally done with this bullshit and then cargo doesn't install. I'm really not making this up. I wish it would have just installed. It didn't. But that's not all. I wouldn't make this video if this would be all. No, I have one more. Because if you would think Rust would just work with the system LLVM, then hold your breath. I had to rebuild LLVM and change its configuration in T2, because of course it didn't just build. But it made maybe the T2 package better. So what have I done here? You see, I hope you in the meantime learned here on my channel, if you knew everything or nothing, or I don't know what. At least I hope you learned reading unified diffs here. So the minus lines go away, the plus lines come. What have I done? I've added here this. I've added from Linux from scratch. They've written there Mesa needs this, not really sure, but whatever. So what I've done for Rust, because Rust wouldn't compile because it needed some static libraries for like WebAssembly, something, because of course it supports WebAssembly, right? The default installation of Rust needs to support WebAssembly, because why not? Because every one of you and me will use it for that, right? And again, I have nothing against them supporting WebAssembly, just that maybe it doesn't need to be enabled by default. But then I quickly found out after like 15 or 20 minutes rebuilding the first round of micro package dependencies there, that it didn't link because LLVM, the WebAssembly.h files, their archives, static archives. And then I googled, because certainly so actually I checked the LLVM config, I didn't see the static directly. They also wonder what is wrong with those people also in the LLVM world. And probably if you heard the horn there, maybe someone was looking into Rust too long and now needs emergency transport. Anyway, so you would think there would be LLVM enabled static or something, but no, of course there isn't. I had to Google this because you never find this stuff without DuckDuckGo or Yahoo or something. Certainly Bing will not find it anyway. And so the option for this is actually here LLVM build LLVM dylib on, and then later I found I probably also need LLVM link LLVM dylib. What this is doing, what the command is saying, I copied this from Linux from scratch. You guys rock as much as T2, obviously. Thanks for sharing this stuff. Building libraries as static. By the way, you would never think, right, that LLVM build LLVM dylib on creates static libraries, but that is what it is doing. I'm not making this shit up. You can verify this in either your LLVM documentation or Linux from scratch. And so they build their static libraries and then link the static libraries together to the dynamic library. And I don't know why this config needs to be so strange, but that's what it is nowadays. 2019, you need such. This is why, yeah, autoconf sucked. But in this world, you mess with the LLVM configuration like this, and in the Rust configuration, of course, in totally amazing Rust ways like that. Of course, totally more amazing than autoconf. At least, not saying that autoconf is amazing, but it worked for me the last 20 years, and it's a solved problem. And at least if something goes wrong, you know where to edit it, and not like each package you need to Google, ask a mailing list, and chat with 20 people, and your local Oracle and Guru meditation to find out what is missing now. So after rebuilding LLVM twice, I finally could compile Rust with the system LLVM. So you see this stuff just works, and maintaining a distribution is totally no work. Just a super lazy job here. Anyway, so we can, by the way, I've not checked if actually the Rust compiler is linking. This is indeed now Rust traits here. So, and does this include LLVM, or actually, strangely enough, I don't really directly see here grep ILLVM, wherever LLVM is. Anyway, probably it is somewhere, but not there, no idea why, maybe it is whatever. Anyway, also this Rust stuff is, by the way, usually not using the system libc. We could probably verify this with cargo. Actually, I'm surprised this is using the system libc. Interesting. I thought it's mostly, so it's actually, was this using libsetlib? Anyway, maybe one of the configuration changes made this change, because otherwise I thought I had the impression this Rust. This is also why they have this libc micro dependency stuff, because they are doing their own system IOCTL interfacing there. Opt Rust bin, what? And we only have cbind again there in there. Okay, so super huge. Actually, I'm surprised it's linking against the system libc right now. I thought it didn't do this earlier, but maybe one of the changes changed this. So yeah, another couple of hours, 2 or 3, wasted on the Rust perfection here. Again, the build stuff integration not yet amazing. We could actually theoretically see how, if cargo, wait a second, cargo, we actually need to figure out what did I probably build with tempfs, and we can't build with tempfs, and we don't have the sources here. Probably all of those are tempfs and empty. Here they are. I hope you learned something. I hope you see how amazing this is. And again, I wish it would be more amazing. I also do this that you learn stuff, that if you bootstrap Rust or want to work with Rust or I don't know what, compile Firefox or LLVM. And yeah, the only risk with this is that if you use the system LLVM, which again in my opinion is certainly preferable to have only one huge version of LLVM because it's certainly huge, that if you upgrade that or Mesa 3D for OpenGL, Vulkan and stuff or Rust, then you quickly might get into trouble, just like outlined there on Andreas Baumann's post or here on Beyond Linux from Scratch, because if you mess up your LLVM or anything like that, then you quickly don't have either Rust compiler or no OpenGL or Vulkan anymore if everything breaks. But again, such huge packages, LLVM is also quite huge. Var ADM package probably should be in here. So yeah, this is a whopping 842 megabyte installed. Of course, the custom version of Rust might be smaller, but also maybe this might include previous versions that are not uninstalled. So theoretically, maybe half or a third of this, if I have here another old or two versions. Also, of course, just with the change of the configuration, I just increased the package because previously it didn't have static libraries. Now it also has static libraries, making maybe nearly doubling the size of the package, because now on at the side of this shared objects also static objects. So we could try, no wait a second, we can't try cargo. With cargo I need to figure out what they want here. Probably, not sure, can I maybe look this up in VS Rust cargo, maybe, not sure if they have cargo separately, maybe not, as they build this extended stuff with everything inside. So I need to see what's up with this guy here, and otherwise we could theoretically, but that takes a while, see how long did I change this to local Rust. So very theoretically we could see if this bootstraps now with a local Rust, which I would theoretically hope for, but this certainly, as I've seen, makes no sense. Yeah, it is still working. It was, for the most part, able to build cargo, except not be able to install it. And I think I, for the test, recompiled cbind again, or what the name was for that. And now we get, of course, thermal throttling, because Core i7 with video encode. This is why you want, of course, Epic AMD. So yeah, so far for me it is working with our stable release, latest stable release of stuff. You also see, I think this is probably compiling now. Earlier, when I configured Rust for local Rust, or what the name of this config option was, then it would not even start. It would previously, probably because something was in whatsoever esoteric way wrong with my cargo. You have seen this error of rename dependency at option enable something whatever that I couldn't figure out. I edited it all over, never worked, no idea what was wrong. Maybe, although it said cargo 1.20 whatsoever, maybe it wasn't. I have no idea what is up with this. But there you see, I think this Rust should probably still be working, because that is what is compiling right now here, all those micro dependencies. I would now be really interested also, by the way, did it, so now it probably, well, it is already progress, I think, that first of all, before it errored out here immediately at the beginning with this same, like cargo, like rebuilding cargo, the same rename dependency fluff there, and finished dev unoptimized target. So yeah, you have seen in 1 minute 26 or so it finished there some unoptimized target thing, and I would guess it works. And it I have not rebuilt Firefox, but I will most likely next. Also, there you see, you always have something to do. You have PS3 to update the kernel. I need to rediff the kernel patches for storage for GameOS for 5.0 or 5.1. I have the SG Octane and various other stuff like finishing here. I put it away, the RME32 Digi HL edit. And next I will probably also want to wire up, because right now I've found on the internet that most people compile Rust stuff without optimization. It's always using the default for the architecture, which is, in case of AMD 64, the original AMD 64 for the first Opteron or Athlon 64 from a decade ago, and or nearly 15 years ago and soon or something. And so it's not using the latest AVX 512 and AVX2 and all this fun stuff. And hey, we have but probably low encode output also, it's not yet warning. Anyway, so next I will most likely via our T2 optimization for either like O2, O1 and stuff, or size optimization to Rust, as well as the architecture, like in Rust that is dash capital opt colon I think O2 or something, or size or whatever. So hey, it did something and it errored out with here, so much to that. Can't find crate for standard, so much to that theory. And yeah, actually I didn't try this. I was hoping it works now, but you see it doesn't. And yeah, so even if you have the latest, and I don't understand these people, the people on Foronics or Moronics and Reddit or wherever tell me I am too stupid. Hey, I am too stupid. I already figured out this detail, that detail. I said in the other live stream, in total you have seen already this. Polishing took me probably 1.5 hours yesterday and 1.5 hours of mixed office work and waiting and trial and erroring here. Another 1/2 hour, so another 3 hours gone. As just to document also here the people who always think, what are those IT people doing? Why do they do nothing? Why don't they get something done here? You sit here 3 hours and wonder with this cargo. So I can't even make this up here live on YouTube. I have not pre-tested this. I showed you the previous full log here, so not making this up. I did not know this doesn't build, but I'm shocked that this still doesn't build. I have no idea what's wrong with that now. I bootstrapped it, the extended stuff there with cargo, and now yeah, can't find crate standard. Yeah, you really can't make this up. It's stories and jokes are writing themselves. So no local Rust for that thing there, which is really sad. And then the people tell me, hey, no worry, just compile Rust with the last version you have here. It doesn't even compile with the current version. I have the same version. You would expect the same version with the same version, but even that doesn't work with whatsoever amazing, super tight build system integrations that not only I don't like, leaves build artifacts all over the place, defaults to building into your home directory.cargo, and beside 5 the same versions. I saw this in another live stream. You have 5 same versions there for all the cargo Rust, and cbind, Gen and Firefox require each slightly different version, and then you have 5 there. And at the end of the day, it doesn't even build because could not compile term and Rust explain, I don't know what standard. And yeah, and by the way, why does it not, for more information, this RSC Rusty explain something, whatever. By the way, why can they not explain this here? Could not compile get opt. Yeah, why not? Why could it not compile extern crate, can't find crate for cake is a lie? I mean, what cookie or monster, what? And by the way, why do they have this hipster examples here? This is really ridiculous. Cake is a lie, and you know what, you really get a little bit on my nerves with this. You must have really fine drugs there. Why have they not here, can't find crane for God is your mushroom? I don't know. And yeah, whatever. They could really point out there what is wrong. I'm really tired of this and whatever. I mean, I really tried. I tried for weeks in the meantime, but I will just, I mean, I improved it each time I touch it. I improve it, of course. It's not like we are lazy, unsuccessful one-man open source distribution thing, but there are also limits of how much time. Again, whatever the next time I will set up the optimization for lazy a lot, like O2 or 3 or S or Z or 1, and architecture optimization, and I call it day 4 now. We can also commit this. Also, you have seen I even need to figure out what is wrong with cargo now with installation. Rust C can probably, wait, we need to commit, is this even an update? LLVM also here. And again, can't even be sure if this will completely work. So minus, so plus this dylib stuff, and so this was a old one. You also wonder, why does LLVM need to have so many options for shared libraries? Probably everyone needs his special snowflake flavor of shared objects nowadays. And yeah, so tweak LLVM conf for static and shared libraries for Rust and RTTY maybe for Mesa, whatever, and then Rust. And yeah, so nothing messed up here. Well, nothing messed up of this non-working, half-working mess. So LLVM config, CodeGen, yeah, this looks probably about right. I also had here, by the way, previously a hot fix that I can, oh no, it's Rust, see, I had there, yeah, this no file check patch disabled can go. I figured this with this CodeGen stuff, and let's commit this. What did we got here? Version flisdel. Actually, it's very theoretically, if we are here for famous stuff and most commits, we could rust c desk first and update this and commit this separately for let or improved rust c system LVM and flisdel. So yeah, at least there's some progress. I wish there would be more progress. It's hilarious. You can't really make this up. It's turning into Rust Cargo comedy channel. It's just so sad that so many people want to sell this as the most amazing invention since sliced bread. But by the way, personally, I find this thing with sliced bread always a little bit funny, because I don't even like sliced bread so much. Because in my opinion, pre-sliced bread always gets dry very quickly. I like non-sliced, not pre-sliced bread, unless I don't know if this American stuff or English metaphor there refers to supermarket pre-sliced bread or just sliced bread in case of slicing it at home. But probably I should research this. But in any case, if I hear this is great invention since sliced bread, I always, if I think on this pre-sliced bread in a plastic bag, then I always think, wait a second, I don't even like this. But yeah, so cargo, maybe I disable, and again, you can in T2, you can use the config, just that for me it's faster to just disable it here, then I don't need to run the config if you know your editor, and build cargo, because not really sure what is wrong with cargo now for the installation. I hope you learned something. Don't forget to share, like, and subscribe. We have more stuff to come, maybe tonight. The slightly delayed IT news from last week. I hope you enjoyed this anyway and learned something, and I hope to see you soon for all the next videos and live streams to come.